Hello, what is going on? Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Good to have everybody here on this fine Tuesday morning for me, wherever it may be for you, afternoon, evening. I thank you for allowing me onto your cellular device, television set. Do they still say that in your television set? TV, laptop, whatever you're watching on. Thank you for spending a little time with me today on this Tuesday. We are looking into something that has been in the works for a little while, and it is really becoming one of my favorite airplanes on Microsoft Flight Simulator. Now, it's not released yet. I am not sure. Probably should have checked this. I'm not sure if I'm at liberty to discuss the release date. All I know for sure that I can tell you is that release is pretty much imminent. It'll be soon. I don't know if JustFlight or BLACKSQUARE is going to stop by today. I think they will on future streams here as the airplane gets ready for its final release. But it is it's very soon. Let's just say that. I'm not sure if it's already published or not, so I don't want to spoil the beans if it's not. But yes, we are in the TBM 850 from BLACKSQUARE. You guys have seen me fly fly BLACKSQUARE products on the channel before, such as the analog King Air, the analog Caravan. Now, the thing that's different about this airplane, it is not just an analog redo of the cockpit. This is a full ground up TBM 850 from BLACKSQUARE. That's why the doors are able to open. They're not harnessed by the limitations of the default aircraft within Microsoft Flight Simulator. So it is its own product, the TBM 850 from BLACKSQUARE. So it's going to be a lot of fun. There's so much to cover on this airplane, guys. It literally is one of those airplanes that while it's small in its size, it's really a mini airliner. I mean, it's got all the things you need in it to fly high, to fly fast, all the approach capabilities you can think of, especially if you have added on GTN 750s or the other add-on navigation stuff that's out there. You can do all of that with this airplane. So it is a highly functional airplane, and it can get you pretty much anywhere you want to go. You can load this puppy up full fuel, 4 passengers, go 320 knots. I mean, it really takes the limitations off of getting in and out of small fields, going far distances at speed. So for that, I think they refer to the PC-12 as a Swiss Army knife. I mean, this is basically the civilian version of a PC-12. So we're going to get into this one here. I'm going to go over some little details on this stream. We're going to really do some deep dive streams on some other systems that are in this airplane, because I think, like other airplanes in the past, to fully love and enjoy this airplane, you really need to know what's going on behind the scenes and to see all the stuff that is simulated. So AJ says, you said that about the Transall C-160. I did, and I still love the C-160. It is still one of my favorite turboprop. It's probably one of my favorite. It's my favorite large transport category turboprop in the sim. How's that, AJ? But good to see you. Good to see you, Robert S. in the house. Thank you for the support, my friend. Gifting a membership. Who to get that? Rory Heap. You picked up a membership from Robert S. Make sure you say thank you. That is very kind of him. Wow, look at the sun coming up. Thank you, Robert, for the support. Too bad he won't be flying it anymore. Oh, you're talking about Stevo Knievo. Yes, any Stevo Knievo fans here? I've watched I've probably watched not all of his videos, but I've watched a fair share of Stevo's videos of him flying the TBM. If you're unfamiliar, he's probably, if you just type in TBM 850 on YouTube, that's probably going to be the first thing that pops up. And I've never met the guy, don't know him personally, but he just seems from his videos that he is someone who just is passionate about flying, passionate about the TBM, and he's got some great content. His livery is included. Now the tail numbers are dynamic, so you can change them just like you would on the Microsoft load page or whatever. You can put in your own tail number, and it will change it according to livery. Now you can also customize where you put the tail number. You can put it here. You can put it up on the vertical stab. That's all included in the manual on how to do that. I've started my own. I've decided what N registration am I going to use for props and GA stuff, and there were several different options, but I'm going to settle on 357 Bravo Mike. So that's going to be my TBM. I was doing some flying yesterday And LA Center hopped on. It was pretty cool to talk to those guys in the team. Pop-up IFR did all the stuff. It was really cool. So if you ever see 357 Bravo Mike flying around on VATSIM, you know who it is. That's going to be my GA tail number. So with all that said, Alexa Rastas, 29 months. Oh my, thank you for the support. Appreciate that. I hope you continue to enjoy the content. And here's to the next 29 months. Appreciate the support. And Phil Jager, thank you for the €6 donation. Appreciate it. A coffee for today's pilot. Please feel free to go into detail. Well, thank you for the support. Thank you for that coffee. Yes, I am flying tonight. I actually have a real world flight tonight. I got to go down to Miami and back. So we're doing a shorter stream today. I've been itching to do some content with this airplane. I wanted to do one short stream today just to kind of break the ice, get you guys see what's going on. And then we're actually going to fly this puppy down on the Australia-New Zealand tour. We're going to take it right back where we left off. But I want to do a quick flight today before I go to work for real and fly a boring Airbus around. This is the excitement here. This is what gets me excited, brings me back to my roots. Love the PT6, love turboprops, and let's get into it right now. All right. Back again for this. Long John, good to see you. He's yes, he is, Mr. Martini, of course. Yes, Steve O'Kneven, his content is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. I was just enjoying the sunrise, too, coming up right here in Microsoft. This is, man, what a time to be a sim. All right, simmer. Brian V, thank you for the support. And good morning, says Brian. Thank you for good morning to you. Right back at you. Are the doors functional? Sold. Front row Kenny. Yes, let's take a look at it right now. In fact, let me go into drone cam real quick. I should have done this probably right before we started. I'm going to slow down the camera here. All the doors are simulated. And remember, that's because I don't want you to confuse the BLACKSQUARE. Trying to click this to like 1 speed. There we go. 2 is fine. So the most of the airplanes that we fly on this channel from BLACKSQUARE are the modded, just the analog default. This is not a default airplane. This is a ground up airplane from BLACKSQUARE. So that's why it is not limited by those functions. So yes, the doors work, and we'll get into detail. You can actually see the latches. So I tell you what, let's start at the nose. Let's kind of do a quick little pre-flight here. Now, I don't believe there's any way to do static elements, which I don't know if anybody uses static elements. I don't think I've ever really used them, but I will tell you on PT6 engines right here, you normally have an engine plug. Make sure you pull that before you start it. Just ask me how I know that. Things can happen that are not good, but beautiful PT6. Love, this is a PT6 66A, I believe it's what's modeled on this one. 4-blade Hartz propeller, absolutely fantastic, and it's in the feathered. Oh my gosh, I gotta take a screenshot right there. That's gonna be a thumbnail for the next screenshot. Look at that. 4-bladed, it's properly feathered. F5, F6 to control is drone speed. Zippy, really? Well, thank you. I had no idea. That'll make my life a lot easier. Shaq says you can use scroll wheels. Yes, Shaq, I can do that, but then when I close it, it doesn't save it. It like bugs out for me for some reason. Oh, wow, you can see the sun coming through the cowling. What a beautiful morning here in Santa Barbara. So here's the PT6. We might actually go into a little bit, not on this one, maybe we'll go into some PT6 diagrams on the next stream, kind of show you what's happening here. But this is a free-floating turbine. That's why the blades are feathered and the engine is off. It doesn't actually hurt the engine, whereas some fixed shaft turbines, a little bit different story. But you can see, what is that, the PMA or the alternator on there? 45, oh wow, I didn't know you can go in. Can I go in here? Wow, look at that. So anyway, we're checking the engine, make sure there's no bird nests in there, make sure all the static elements are off. Look at the intake there. I love those little whiskers, those exhaust tips there on the PT6. Coming around the right-hand side, we'll check our leading edge. You can see we have boots on this aircraft, so this is a form of de-ice on the TBM. So this does not prevent ice accumulation. In fact, you want ice to accumulate, and then after, a quarter inch or so, you go ahead and blow the boots. And what I mean by blow the boots, it uses pneumatic air to inflate this leading edge, which will then break the ice that's accumulated off. Now, there is a phenomenon known as ice bridging. And as we get into the winter months here, I think we're going to have to go into some detail about anti-ice and de-ice. But either way, that's make sure the boots are in good working order. There's no holes. You can make sure your lights are in good working order. We'll come around to the aileron here. Looks good. See the trim tab, beautiful, clean looking wing. Come over here. This looks good. Everything looks fine there. We'll come around the tail number. Just a beautiful model on the airplane here. Absolutely beautiful. Come around the elevator here, all the way up. Everything looks good on this puppy right here. Man, she looks really, really good. Now, there is an access panel down here, right here. This is for your oxygen. And Oxygen service point, use no lubricants. So if you have failure simulated, which this airplane does have 100 different failures simulated, and it has one of my favorite way to do failures is it's got the mean time between failures, kind of like what Tolis did. Why I was such a huge fan, I am a huge fan of the Tolis 320 and X-Plane, is because you can set an accelerated rate at which failures may or may not happen. So they're still random, but you can control how much or how much acceleration that would happen on the failures, and you can do that same thing with this airplane here. And one of those failures are, if oxygen is definitely included. And if you use your oxygen in flight, you will deplete the bottles. And when you deplete the bottles, you do need to refill them, and you can refill them via the little failure panel inside the airplane. I'll show you that later. But that's where you would do it in real life. You'd come out there and service that. Everything looks good around the left side. Oh, anybody know what this is? Anybody know what this is? I don't want to spoil the beans because I actually know what this is here. We had these on the 99s. Spectacular detailing. Yes, Al, the detailing is really, really good on this airplane. Like, that's what I'm saying. The default airplanes are okay, but they all have their limitations, especially when you start looking for details. So to see this one being its own standalone airplane, it's really nice. It is the stall warning, yes, and it connects the. So basically, this works by an electrical current. So if your AOA gets to the critical AOA on the wing, this tab will actually start to be pushed up onto this portion here, which would then trigger or connect a circuit, which would then sound the stall horn. Now, this airplane will stall, and it will definitely spin, because I spun it and I could not recover it and I actually crashed. So we're not going to do any flight tests yet because I still need to do some stuff. Basically, don't stall this airplane, all right? There's a lot of protections in place, the stall warning, the stick shaker, all that good stuff. Don't stall it. If you spin it, Godspeed, because I had a heck of a time trying to recover. I was just too low and it didn't work out. So we're not going to do any of that today, but this element is actually heated too. That's why it is not, or that's why it's not painted here, and it's kind of its own thing. It is a heated element because ice could accumulate on there. So everything looks good. We'll come around this side. Now you can see this side of the PT6. Looks like we got, I even got the part, I got like numbers on there and everything. Wow, this is pretty cool. I'm trying to figure out is this the igniter box? Where would the igniter box be? It's like some oil, some ventilation. This looks like maybe some cabin ventilation here, ram air. Now, if we come around the other side, I'm just looking for something real quick. I don't know where it would be. So on one of my flights, when I was flying a Beech 99, we had dual PT6s, right? And I had a failure to ignite. The igniters were not working, and the mechanic literally on the phone said, "Hey, we'll go up there, open the cowling, and I want you to tap on that igniter box really hard." And I did that under the instruction of maintenance, and lo and behold, it actually started working. I don't know where the igniter box is on this one. Might be a little bit different since it is a single engine. I would imagine it's accessible, though, somewhere. It's got to be in here somewhere, maybe over here or inside here. Either way. So our exterior is complete, and yes, just a beautiful model. I mean, look at the texturing on the prop spinner. Let me just zoom in. Let me let it stabilize so you guys can see what I'm looking at here. This is, no details sparred. This is a really, really good representation of the aircraft. I mean, it looks awesome. Absolutely looks awesome. V1 BLACKSQUARE gave the machine its own sound set, or Barrett the Sound 850 from standard TBM. Oh, so the sound set is a modified sound set from the TBM 9 that is in Microsoft. So that is why the TBM 9 is required. That's the only thing that is not fully custom. But I will tell you, I'm a stickler for sounds, and you guys will be able to judge for yourself. The sound set that they have on this airplane is very good, and especially from the inside, it is very believable. From every video that I've watched and from my research just looking at TBMs, it is very good. Now they took the Microsoft TBM 9 sound, and then they added tons of custom sounds for the 850 specifically. And the way it works out, I feel pretty immersed. If I could only say one thing, we'll critique the sounds later. I wish we could increase one of the best sounds ever on a PT6, and that is the ground idle or beta transition. I just wish it was a little bit louder. It's still very good. You guys will be able to judge from that. So that's the only, I guess, reminiscent of default that would be on this airplane. But other than that, our pre-flight is complete. Let's reset the drone camera and let's hop into this lovely cockpit. Now, I would remember, this is also a pre-release version, although this is almost pretty much the final variant unless we find anything groundbreaking. You can swap all these radio stacks around. One thing I noticed with I have the TDS 750, and if I swap it multiple times, like in here, sometimes it kind of bugs out my autopilot lights and stuff, and that's apart from TDS. I need to update that software. I haven't updated it yet. Plus, I'm not a huge, I mean, I like it for training, but I'm not a huge fan of it. I'm rocking the 530 autopilot here today, and you can get rid of it completely. And the KNS-80 nav system. This is something that I've never used in real life. I've heard about it. I've seen it in airplanes, but it is actually a quite interesting, quote-unquote, early RNAV situation. You basically can take a VOR and move the VOR and create waypoints and routes with the KNS-80. Now, there's a detailed section in the manual, which we'll go over at some point. Today, we're not doing a KNS-80 quote-unquote tutorial because I myself need some more work on it, but in the future I would like to kind of dig down deeper in this old school nav system as a backup, because if your 530 fails, you still have nav available, but you got to know how to use it. So this is the radio stack that I like rocking, and again, you can configure all these right here: 750, 530, KXI, or the FCOM 2, you can do those too. So you probably saw that in the teaser video as well, where I was swapping them around. 750 support, yes, it does have 750 support. So, but the cockpit itself, guys, I'm going to just kind of pause it right here and let you look at this thing. The X-Plane 11 TBM 900 was a phenomenal TBM, and it still is to this day. But the one thing that drove me away from flying it more, and this is a personal opinion, everyone's different, is the G1000. I really dislike G1000 simulation in Microsoft or an X-Plane. I know in real world application they're phenomenal, and if I was to buy my own TBM, I probably wanted to have a G1000, just I'm saying. But for simulator, for simming, flight simulation, I love getting back to my roots with old school round gauges, and we got a mix of glass over here with the AHRs and the PFD and the HSI and all that. So this to me is my optimum cockpit. I mean, it is so beautiful. Oops, didn't mean to do that. So beautiful and so clean, and it feels like I'm really sitting back in those old school airplanes. And these gauges right here, TurboProp, NG, ITT, I love it. This is what I cut my teeth on as a young aviator. These little round gauges just like this. My PFD and HSI were still the old school, though, the round gauge all the way through. But still very, very nice. All right. Let's, I think we'll kind of do a little bit of it. We have a short flight, so let's kind of go through the cabin just a little bit more here. We'll actually come to the back, and we'll close the door up here in the back. The cabin is very nicely done. You have a little table that'll actually fold out. I think it's on this side. What's this here? Baggage door. Oh, no. Oh, that's the key. There's a table that I thought I could fold out. I know I could earlier. Anyway, but the cabin is really nicely done. The overhead lights will actually work, and you can master these lights from the cockpit. That's if you're doing an instrument approach at night and the cabin still has the lights on. You need a master dark cabin. You can turn it on from the cockpit panel over there. But let's go ahead and pull this. We'll pull the stairs in, and we'll close the door here. I'd be lying to you if I. There we go. There's the switch. All right, now I want you to pay attention. So when the door shuts. Boom. Did you guys catch that? Did you catch how it locked? We're all green here. So I'm going to unlock. Let's see if I can. I'm going to press to unlock. Look, so now the door is unlocked, but it's closed. If you close this incorrectly, it is actually simulated that you could theoretically have a slow pressurization problem while you're in the climb out, because while the door is closed, it's not locked, and that could lead to either a catastrophic failure of the door, or it could lead to a failure to pressurize. And that's the detail that we're talking about here. It is simulated, and so you do want to make sure that I guess to relock it, we're going to reopen it. You want to make sure that it is closed properly. And when I flew corporate and I flew freight, mostly corporate though, because that's when we had passengers. I was the one, didn't matter if I was flying solo or with a first officer. As the PIC, I always wanted to be the one that closed the door, even when I flew citations and the owner of the jet would come on the airplane and, you know, he would, can I close it? No, I want to close the door because I'm the one that's strapping in up front. I want to make sure that I physically verify that the door is properly closed and locked. So that's closed and locked there. Let's go ahead and close the, I think this one's closed. Did we close this one? Yeah, this one's closed. I don't know. Oh, there is no door here. What I was trying to do is the kind of a hidden lever here, right here. This lever is going to close the right cowling. So that's going to come down, and then we'll close the left cowling right here. And now the cowlings are closed up, and our baggage door is open. And now I think, was that this over here? If I click on that key, does that close the baggage door? Yes, it does. So that's the baggage door key or something that's sitting in that cup holder. I just learned that. I didn't know that you could actually open this baggage door. But if you can't find out how to close the door, it's that little key thing over there in the cabin. So everything's closed up except the main door. Now let's go ahead and fire it up. Now what I will show you is you could actually do ground clearance mode. This is something that would be very popular. I never flew an airplane that was fancy enough to have ground clearance. But if you turn this switch on, you basically, without any battery power or anything like that, you don't power up the whole airplane. All you're doing is powering up COM 1 so you can pick up a clearance and or get your ATIS. So I guess we could simulate doing that right now. Let me pull up the old Navi graph here real quick. We're sitting on the ground in Santa Barbara. Let me see what the ATIS freaks are here. Let's go to charts and let's see if I can actually do this here. Santa Barbara ATIS is 3265. So we'll come over here. We'll enter that with the 530. Let's see if we can get 3265 on here. But this is where you would get your clearance without powering up the whole airplane. Oh, I have default ATIS turned off. That's why. So we would pick it up. Yeah, I have default ATIS turned off, but that's where you would do it if you didn't have it turned off. Then you go back to Unicom, and then you could pick up a clearance. Now, I see Albuquerque Center and LA Center online, but I don't believe I have to call them. Let me check real quick on the VATSIM app. I don't think I'm covered under that LA Center right now. Let me just double check real quick. Because if we are, we do have an IFR flight plan on file. Actually, we are. What we could do is, why don't we do VFR? VFR flight following up to the north. Why don't we do that? We'll do that. So 122.8, we would talk, you know, do what you need to do, and then go ahead and turn the radio master off, and you can see the ground clearance button has turned off. So, all right, how frame intensive is it? It's very, very good on frames. Very good on frames. So now I haven't taken it into like LAX or LG. Well, I've flown over LAX. I haven't taken it into like New York or anything. Maybe fly into Teterboro, check it out. But I haven't really noticed any issues with frames. It seems very, very well optimized. So, all right. So why would that back there so passengers can accidentally open it? I don't know, Tukatori. Again, I'm actually curious myself. That is definitely a baggage key. So I guess you want to make sure that and that's what they look like too. That's the same old like latches that we had, or same old keys. I don't know. I guess the passenger was the last one to close it and make sure he has the key, because once you close the door and pressurize, no one's getting out. Still debating, but I have a few other things I want to get over the air. Oh, you're talking to Dougal. All right, yeah, sorry, I'm kind of distancing myself from the chat here just for a minute until we get fired up. But let's go ahead and fire it up right now. We'll go ahead this onto the battery position. We'll get our nav lights on. Ignition will go to the auto position. We'll go ahead and cancel out our cautions here. Let me make sure my sim sounds are up. Let me turn everything up for y'all. That looks good. That's where you store the bodies. I guess they had to find a click spot. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it makes sense that a passenger would have it. Parking brake is on. Everything is off. Let's check our throttles. We're idle. Let's go forward on the prop. We're cut off on the mixture. Fuel tank selector is, we'll go ahead and leave it in manual for right now. Radio masters are off. I'm going to hide this yoke here real quick. It's 53 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 11 C outside. And I think we're looking good. So before we start up, let's go ahead and, can I start with the door open? Let's try to start with the door open. I don't know if we can. So we'll go ahead and put the strobe lights on because there is no beacon. So basically, in place of the beacon, we're going to use the strobe lights out here on the wingtips. All right, everything's ready to go. And actually, one thing I'll show you, I wonder if it's light enough. If I turn on the instrument panel lights, the electrical load shedding on this airplane is insane. It's very real. So we got main, standby. Our battery is just under 25 volts there. And clear prop. Let's go ahead and start her up. So that's auto. Starter's coming on. Look at the draw on the current there. Waiting for about 14% NG. Low idle. Wow, that's loud with the door open. Temp out at 940. There's 50%. We'll go ahead and go starter off. Close the door and then we'll go high idle because that's way too loud. That's the first time I've done that. Starter off, high idle. We'll go man generator. Ignition's in auto. Gyro, RMI, ADI, and HSI are all coming online. We'll go AP master, ground master, or radio master, autopilot, trims master, and ground master. Geez, English. It's okay, I didn't like my hearing anyway. Sorry, Shaq. I should have done that again. There are professional streamers available elsewhere. I should have probably done that at least once before streaming. I've never started it with the door open, but there you go. You heard it with the door open. All right, with that powering up, we're going to power up this is something here you may not see depending on where your view is. So you need your EFIS master switch to turn on. Now, these are old CRT screens. Listen to the sound powering up. These CRT screens will actually power up depending on the outside air temperature and the temperature of the cabin. So just like in real life, if it's very cold outside, these will take quite a while to actually get full bright and to come on, as opposed to if it's nice and warm out. So it's a nice warm day out, but that's again, that's kind of the simulation that they're going for here. Very highly detailed. We're going to acquire our satellites. Everything is looking good there. Let's reset our view. Let's kind of go through I'm kind of doing like a Steve-O after start. High idle in the amber. Oh, I believe that's because we'll talk about that. That's beta mode. We're going to talk about what they've done for beta. We'll get to that in a minute. All right. But everything else is kind of my after start flow. Let me go back over that. That's an auto. That's starter. Okay, we'll come over here. Fuel tank selector. We're going to go into the auto position. Oh, I forgot to turn the fuel pump on. That should go into auto. So your aux boost pump, that should have been on for start. I didn't do it. Started up just fine. You put it on for start, auto after. Auto select here on the fuel selector, so it will automatically switch between tanks. I think every couple of minutes. I forget the actual time. 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, something like that. Now you can manually do it yourself, but it's good practice to put it in auto. All right, so that's good. And let's come over here. We can go fan only because we don't really need any air conditioning right now. Well, bleed will go into the auto position. This is a defog for the window. Also kind of a secondary window de-ice if your primary electric ones fail. Not applicable today. Cruise altitude. Now we're going to be departing VFR. So I tell you what, let's set 17,000 for right now. We'll set 17,000 feet. We'll hit the baro ref, and I'm going to put in 17.5. Actually, it would be 16.5 because we're westbound, right? I'll put 16.5, and then let's go back here. So right about there is close enough. 75 seconds I switch. All right, thank you. Oh, there it goes. You heard it? So I just heard it tick over. See, it ticked over to the right. All right, and we'll go pitot stall. That's a stall and inertial separator. Quick thing about the inertial separator. Now, there's a nice video that JustFlight has on their YouTube already talking about some failures. And the inertial separator, is something that's installed, inertial separator, ice vanes, a couple different names for it. They call it the inert sep here on the TBM. What it does is it's a flap that will deploy just inside of the intake in front of the engine. And the theory behind it is, with that flap down or in position, any objects that get sucked into the airplane will be thrown out of the stream because it causes the airflow to do a sharp 90-degree turn before going into the engine. So by using mass and momentum, the objects would not be able to go to the engine. They won't be able to make the turn. So that's kind of what the inertial separator does. So you're supposed to use it anytime you're in icing conditions, operating on unimproved runways, dirt, anything like that. Now, I've seen Steve-O do it on YouTube. He uses it pretty much every time for landing. So we'll use it for landing, coming into land. Now, we're on a nice airport here in Santa Barbara, so we don't need it right now. But what BLACKSQUARE has done is it knows what surfaces you're operating on, and if you don't have the inertial separator in position when it's supposed to be in position, you will start to accumulate possible damage to your engine because you don't have proper use of the inertial separator. So again, you want to make sure that you have that on if needed. We'll use it for landing. I don't see a reason for using it for takeoff. It does hinder performance just a little bit, so that is something that you got to take into account. But we're sea level. It's 15 degrees outside. We're 1,000 pounds under max weight, so we're looking plenty good. Matt Warren, thank you for the 18 months of support. It says, what an amazing flight this will be. It's going to be a fun one, Matt. It's short, but it's going to be fun. So while we're all spooled up here, let's go do a quick flight plan here. We need to go to, I got to pull up I have a quick little flight plan that I've filed. I'm going to load it in the box just in case we get, we do have to pick up an IFR clearance. So we're going to go to KMRY. I'm going to put in the destination. Now, I saw a Q8 pilot using a real, 530 add-on, it's a piece of hardware you can use. It makes me want to buy that. This airplane makes me want to buy that. Because to have your own, oh my gosh, KMR, PQR, letters, Y. Now, actually, if I go, let me see real quick. If I go flight plan here, direct, activate, but then if I put in, if I go flight plan, GVO, I'm curious. I think I have to put it in after, but I thought they would actually put it in front of it. This is for science here real quick. GVO, it's a VOR that we're tracking. You can use the keyboard. I just hit O. I don't know what O does, but whatever it did, I heard it click and it didn't type. Is there a way to make it type? Oh yeah, so we messed it up. GVO, GLJ. Golf Lima. You gotta click the thing next to the field. Oh my goodness, who said that? Rafael Rodriguez? You're my hero. Oops, well, I'm gonna do it proper. GLJ. Guadalupe. Enter that. That is fantastic. Thank you. Paso Robles VORs, we're going to do this. PRB. Oh my gosh, that is so much better. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. Now I need to, PRB and then Salinas. So what I'm going to do some editing here. There we go. And then here, after Salinas, we're going to put KMRY. Oh, that is awesome. You see that? I was not aware of that, but that's fantastic. There we go. So we've backed up our flight plan with the GPS to make sure you do that on the ground. That's something you could probably do in ground clearance mode as well. I'm not sure with a 530. I think it would work with a 530. So it's just good to have that done on the ground, because if you do pick up on IFR, or maybe even you intend to fly VFR, but then you enter into some clouds or the weather is changing, because Microsoft Flight Simulator does have a very dynamic environment, it's good practice, just like we would do it in real life, to make sure you have it loaded in the box, right? I used to use it on the Set 172 quite a bit. Awesome. Yeah, the 530, I used it quite a bit. If we ever had a GPS, we had some had 530s, and then a lot of them had the ones that were older than the 5, what was it, the 3 something, the smaller one. Anyway, all right, let's kind of finish up everything else here. We're sitting on the ground burning fuel, so that's my fault. This is the access panel light here that I was talking about earlier, the master light. So you can see those are if you're boarding at night, you'd have those on, or maybe you're getting ready for a night approach and everyone's on their TikToks, they're not paying attention, and you need to shoot an approach down to minimums. You can hit that main access light, and that will master shut off all these cabin lights up there, which is pretty neat. So 16.5 is set, parking brake, everything is good. Let's go flaps 2 takeoff position, which is flaps 1.
Good morning, boss. So I jumped in the car to rush to Santa Monica to catch the flight, but you switched to Santa Barbara?
Yes.
If so, I'll be quick as possible on the 101 to get to this great flight. Lol, running with latte in hand. Lol.
Callie Simmer, thank you for the $10 bank angle check. That is my fault, 100%. That's on me. I wanted to do Santa Barbara or Santa Monica, but I didn't have a scenery for it, and it looked like a hotel, so last minute I changed it to Santa Barbara. I do apologize, Callie Simmer. Hopefully the traffic isn't too light. Maybe we'll pick you up here short of runway. We're going to depart off of 2.5, so hopefully you can meet us there before we depart. But thank you for the $10 bank angle check. Hope you got a nice latte with you. Don't spill the latte. I spilled one the other day in uniform all over my white shirt, and that'll be coming. I'll tell you guys about that later. But thank you, Callie Simmer. Appreciate the support. All right. Really liking the textures. Mickey G, the textures on this thing are phenomenal. I'm not just saying that. Like it's one of those airplanes where it's just absolutely phenomenal. Let's hit the magic barrel ref key 3001. What we're going to do here is we're going to change our nav source to GPS. You have heading push to sync. We'll go over the HSI stuff later. Real quick though, my VOR, my first VOR, we got to put that in. I tell you what, let's track off of the Santa Barbara. Are we supposed to go off of SBA? No, we're supposed to go in Guadalupe, 1305. Let's see if we can get 1305. Now your radios and everything will save state, so that's kind of neat. 1305. I know Microsoft. There it is. 1305, and we'll put that over here. 1305. Let's see if we'll pick it up. 11305, 11305, and then after Golf Lima Juliet, we are going to. Oh, I'm sorry, GVO. It's. Oh, I should have done Gavoda first, really. 13.8. Can I get 13.8 on here? Let's see. There we go. 13.8 is done, tuned in and nav 2. College Jude, welcome. All right, guys, this is something really quick before this is not a real tutorial flight how you'd fly TBM. We're sitting here burning fuel, wasting gas, but this is something important. I want you to take note of the needle deflection here, okay? The needles, I'm gonna make sure I say this right. Give me a second. So this is a small detail, but anybody who has ever flown a real airplane with real instrumentation and real round gauge needles. So these are physics-based instrument needles with two-pole filtering that respond to aerodynamic forces. So they actually, and they also have like attenuation and everything. So these needles will kind of bobble in the glass sometimes, depending on what you're doing. And it's such a small detail. See how it kind of shifts over? Right, I want to get it right. So let's get the 2 needle is there. Let's get direct 2. I go too far. I did. There's 2 from. But the needle representation is phenomenal. It's just a small detail. It's almost like you can see it bobbling in the glass. You get it set up there. That's close enough. We're on the ground here. We kind of have a hard line of sight. You also see that the vertical speed indicator is oscillating from the flow of the engine, the air, the prop wash coming over the pitot tubes. You get that little vertical speed jump there. So it's just it's down to the small details like this that are it makes this airplane really stick out, and one of the reasons why I say it's one of my absolute favorites so far. We're VFR. Actually, I'm going to go VFR and standby for right now. We're on the ground, and all right, let's get out of here. Let's make sure 122.8 is on, and Santa Barbara traffic, TBM 7 Bravo Mike. We're going to taxi runway 25 Santa Barbara. Real quick, let me make sure the weather's not crazy tailwind here. 0, 10 clear. Beautiful. All right, that's the kind of weather we like in California. Now we're going to have to kind of taxi over these guys. Let's go brakes released. And then we're going to talk about the beta simulation on the ground and everything. Release date hasn't been announced by BLACKSQUARE yet. AJ, no, it has not. I'm not sure if I'm at liberty to discuss it, so I'm not going to say it. I believe I'm gonna try to do some content with the developer of this airplane at some point later on before the release. So maybe you can ask then. I am on VATSIM, John. We're on VATSIM today. Sorry guys, I got this fruit fly that's floating around my mic, and it's. Give me a second. It's like trying to get in my mouth, and I keep hitting my mic trying to get them. JP, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships, my friend. I appreciate that. If you picked up a membership from JP, make sure you shout him out and say thank you. That's very kind of him. Appreciate you, JP. TBM is Steve-O approved. Yes. Now, this is something that I don't know if it's something that I just discovered binding-wise or if it's part of how BLACKSQUARE has this bound. I think it's a little bit of both. And I'm going to show you. I'm going to bring my tiller cam online, and we're going to talk about taxiing a turboprop on the ground. I'm going to come here and stop here real quick. Center's online. Yeah, we're going to depart VFR. We'll call them VFR. Why do you have too much gas when you're on fire? Absolutely. Badoom, Shaq. Thanks for the support, man. Hope you're well, dude. Thanks for sending me the pictures of those Heritage liveries, by the way. I never responded to you because I think I was sleeping, but appreciate you, man. All right, so on the ground with a PT6 and turboprops in general, the excess amount of thrust that is produced at idle, otherwise known as flight idle, which would be right about here, you would just be riding the brakes all the time. All right, so you'd be riding the brakes and you'd have way too much thrust. So what's in the real aircraft is a beta range, and if you don't have a fancy airplane, then you just kind of use reverse. But some airplanes actually have a specified beta range. Now, what BLACKSQUARE has done is on the same axis, on ground only, when weight on the wheels, your idle position is the entrance of like beta or ground fine. So even on the ground with my levers in idle, it's kind of simulating the same axis beta position. So you can see here, my feet are off the brakes. We're in beta. There's not really any forward thrust that's happening to the airplane. The prop is almost max fine. Now, what is cool, and the way I have it bound, is I've toggled my levers here on my hardware to toggle the reverse thrust command. So when I lift them up, nothing happens, except now when I go forward, I'm actually activating more of that beta into reverse. You can hear the transition. That's basically idle reverse there. Bring it back to beta. All right. And then when I lower the levers on my thrust on my hardware, I'm back to forward. And I've done nothing special with SPAD or anything. Now, if you don't have the Airbus levers, which I have right here, you can still accomplish this by just toggling a button. So the default GA levers, let's see if I have one sitting over here. Oh, there goes a Fokker lever. I don't have the default GA lever sitting around. Do I have anything else with a button on it? I do. So if you have, like this is just a regular 747 or 7.3 lever default from Honeycomb. If you don't want to use the lever or you don't have a lever, you could bind it to a push button. So you see a little red button on there? You can bind that to a button so you can easily access full beta and reverse on the ground without having to do anything crazy. It makes manipulation of the turboprop seamless on the ground, which, in my opinion, taxiing is probably one of the most fun parts about flying a PT6. So Small details like this, with the ground idle being simulated on ground only on the same axis, is huge. Because it really kind of gives you the best of both worlds. It's 100% accurate to the real thing? No, because we don't have realistic hardware to simulate a beta gate and a reverse gate. And if you had that hardware, then how are you going to bind it with Microsoft? So they kind of had to figure out a way to best of both worlds it, and I think they've absolutely nailed it. And again, I'm going to do a binding video and a curve video. I have a few little sensitivities adjustments on my Thrustmaster yoke. I'll go over that at a later date, but right now let's go ahead and get airborne because it's 11:30 and we got to get flying. So basically I'm in beta and I'm coming up here to get her out of beta so we get some forward thrust going. Can't beat hearing that beta get activated. I know, ailerons in the wind, so watch this. You hear that? That, let's not hit this truck here. Now, since we're doing that, we'll talk about sounds. If I could adjust anything, and I'm just a stickler for sounds. I think the best sound in the world, there's two best sounds in the world that are tied. The number one best sound in the world is the light off on a PT6. The second best sound, which is really still the first best sound, it's tied with that, is hearing the ground idle beta transition in a PT6. Those are the two best sounds in the world. And so if I were to have my way, I wish you could make that transition a little bit louder. But again, it's not unrealistic. Let's try it from a different angle. Here, that's why I use it down to stop there. Oh, that was my fault. I had my foot on the brake and I get that Microsoft brake bug. But you can hear it. I just wish you could enhance it. But that's just me. That's just me. When I flew C90s, I'd always speed up and slow down just to hear the prop transitioning from idle to beta. Mickey G, you and me both, man. You and me both. I've got a video. I've got a couple of videos I found on my old hard drive of me doing that. But yeah, exactly. That's as someone who's flown PT6s, you've probably done it. You've probably accelerated just to slow down. I kind of do the same thing on the Neo, but yeah, there's nothing better than that beta sound. All right, we'll take it out here to 2.5 Cali Simmer. Hopefully you made it on board by now. We'll kind of cut across the pad here. We'll do a slight run up. I'm not going to get into the full run up scenario, but there is a governor test that you do want to make sure you have accomplished, at least on the first flight of the day. At least I would. Now, there's no auto feather on a single engine. Reason being, if your engine fails on a single engine, you want to get it back, right? So you don't want to feather it. But let's go ahead and set the brake. We're going to go over, I'll go full screen cam here real quick. Oops, let's mute that. So we're going to do a little governor check here. And basically, to really speed this up, when you go in normal mode here, when I go to apply takeoff power, I'm going to be limited to about 101% torque. That's what the governors, or what the FADEC's going to do, limit me at 101% torque. Even if I command more, I think it'll actually stop it at 101%. Now the governor, just like a governor, what a governor means, it's going to stop the prop at 2,000 RPM. What you want to do for the governor check is we're going to make sure it will hold without going up to 2,000 RPM. We're actually going to see if it will hold the prop at a different RPM, thus verifying that it does indeed work. So how we do that is we're going to bring the airplane out of the idle position. We're going to run it up to about 1,800, or actually we're going to go 1,900 on the prop. We're going to cycle the prop first, and then we're going to do the governor check. All right, so 1,900 RPM. Now I'm going to cycle the propeller lever. That works. We'll do it again. All right, now it's kind of tricky to do this. The overspeed test is right here. So I'm going to lower the RPM. 1800. Now I'm going to press the overspeed. Well, I think I missed it. And now I'm going to try to go up past that. See, now it's limiting it right there at 1800 RPM. And then if I release the governor, it goes up to 1900. So our overspeed test works. Governor checks. We'll bring it back down. The prop governor failure, which had Steve-O livid. Yeah, ailerons into the wind. Yep, exactly. So he's had that, and we'll talk about failures en route. We'll get over that. We'll go over that in the failure screen. But everything else looks good. Let's go VFR. We're squawking VFR on altitude. Our flight plan should keep us clear of everything, and we're not in a Bravo, so we don't need flight following. Let's go ahead and do a radio call. Santa Barbara traffic, TBM 7 Bravo Mike. We're going to be departing runway 25 Santa Barbara. All right, let's go ahead and light it up. We'll get our lights on. It was pulse mode on, which will pulse the landing lights. Brakes released. Trims are set. Everything looks good. Well, let's go.
The prop governor failure test in California, otherwise known as Gavin Newsom.
C2A, good to see you, man. Thank you for the $3 bank angle check. Hey, man, I don't disagree with you there on that one. Goodness. All right, C2A, thanks for the support. I appreciate you. Prop governor failure. Gavin Newsom. Man, oh, man. Welcome to the stream, C2A. Glad to have you on board, man. All right, that was an overshoot there. That was an Airbus attempted lineup. Man, my lineups have just not been good. My last flight, man, I had a lineup in Minneapolis. It was absolutely terrible. I actually overshot. I got to work on that tonight. All right, we're lined up. We'll sync the heading bug. Absolutely love that. We'll fly present heading till about 1,000 feet. Then we'll make our right turn and get on course to the first VOR. And, yeah, we're outside. Santa Barbara's not online, so I don't need to talk to them. And actually, I need to go flight plan. I need to go direct Gaviota. There we go. That's what I want it to look like. Zoom it out. Beautiful. That looks good. Weather radar is on. We don't need it. It's a beautiful day. Here we go. This is a well, no, there is a tower here, but there's no tower online. Would we still need to contact them if we're VFR? It is a towered field. RIP. We have to call them for takeoff? All right, stand by. You're right, it is a tower. I was treating it like an untowered field. 3555. Let's go up here. 35. Let's give him a quick call. If tower needs center for takeoff. I'll never understand VATSIM rules. We'll call him right now. LA Center, good morning. TBM 357 Bravo Mike on the ground in Santa Barbara. Request VFR departure out to the northwest at 16.5.
Alright, 357 Bravo Mike. Unfortunately, caught me at a terrible moment. I'm closing. I gotta head to lunch. Maybe back here about an hour, but unfortunately, I need to come for now.
Not a problem. Over to Unicom. Have a good lunch. TBM 7 Bravo Mike. All right. There we go. You guys happy? Rudder trim for takeoff should be for takeoff. You're absolutely right. So we're going to come over here. Good catch. We're going to go to the takeoff position. Trims are in the green. And we're doing a little bit of right rudder for the torque. So, again, that's your... that is a good thing to check. Now, we're going to go in depth on procedures and stuff at a later date. But right now, we're going to have ourselves just kind of an initial impression stream. So here we go. Again, a good turboprop pilot. We're not going to bounce the prop off the governor if we can help it. So spool it up nice and slow. And remember, when you're on the ground, you've got to come out of that ground idle or that beta range first. So it's a little bit more to react. It takes a little bit longer. All right, here comes our prop. Release the brakes. We're nice and stable. Let's go ahead and set torque. Power set. Airspeed alive. Right about 90 knots. Rotate. Nice and easy. Positive rate. Gear up. Watch your ears. It's going to be a little loud. Alright, let's kind of come back to our heading here. We'll go ahead and start trimming that rudder trim out. Flaps coming up out of the wide arc. A little bit of nose drop there. Let's go ahead and get a little bit more aileron or elevator trim. Reset my heading bug. A little bit bumpy today. What's up with that? I thought it was supposed to be smooth. About 140 in the climb out. Let's go ahead and turn right to about 310. Intercept our course. You could redirect it, but we're going to just go ahead and intercept it. I should check what a good climb out speed is. I thought I saw Steve-O doing it at like 140. Shut up and take my money, says AJ. I gotta say, I am really enjoying this airplane. Now I am flying it with the Boeing yoke, which is a little unrealistic, obviously. I'm trying to kind of tweak a little profile with it to make it seem a little bit more GA-ish. And again, I'm going to try to get that stuff out to you here at a later date. All right, our course line is coming on. So with flaps up, we're basically on course. We're on speed. I'm going to go yaw damper on. We're going to go IAS hold, autopilot, nav, and it's going to go capture that course a little bit. I wasn't quite on course. So it's going to capture that HSI. We'll go full screen cam. He always climbs out at 145. All right, well, almost there. We'll go ahead and see it turn here. How beautiful is that, though? My fulcrum yoke loves the TBM. So this is, I was just thinking about this before the stream started. This is one of those planes that like I would invest for a force feedback yoke for this airplane. Like that's how much fun I've been having with it. All right, we're 4.8. We're climbing to 16.5. We're in nav mode. Yaw damper's on. Everything looks good. I can adjust my vertical speed down a little bit. I can do it from here. I'm going to go IAS, and I'm going to increase IAS, which would reduce my climb rate a little bit. We'll try to get right about 145. Does it have 850 mode? It does indeed. So, now I'm not entirely sure how you're supposed to use it, but I'm pretty sure this is how you're supposed to use it. So after, and only after the flaps are up, we go into 850 mode. With 850 mode activated, it now allows you to get it basically takes the torque limit off for climb out, right? So now you can see I can go way up here with my torque. I can go up to 120. So here we go. I'm going up 120 on torque. Now this is only allowed in the flaps up position, as indicated why it's a flap lever. It's up and then you go into 850, and now we're really going to be rocking. We're 2,000 RPM, 121 on the torque, 140 on the speed. We're approaching our waypoint here. We can come down here to the engine trend monitor. We're going to tackle this in cruise, but I want to see, there's our torque, 22. What is 807? We got to make sure we're not going out of limits here. I'm going to bring it back just a tad. Yeah, we got a nice little, there we go, 2200 on the torque. There we go. I gotta check the manual for our climb out limitations. Delta Tango, welcome. Savage prop. Yeah, this is basically savage mode. All right, we are gonna recenter the heading bug. What's the message? Approaching the VNAV. We're not worried about that. We're going up to 16.5. And we don't need fan only, so we need fan only, right? And that's in auto. There we go. We'll want to verify the cabin starts climbing here. It's not going to be very high. We're only going up to 16, though. That's right. Robin H. Oh my goodness. Robin H has hit, what is that, 4 years? Robin H, welcome to the stream. What is that? What is the, I don't even know. That's the highest level possible. That is the 4-winged Admiral. We'll just call it Admiral mode. Robin H, glad to have you on board. Thank you for the support, man. Fantastic. Thank you for supporting me, supporting the channel. Hope you continue to enjoy the content, my friend. All right, so there's our turn. Now we're going to Gulf Lima Juliet. Everything is looking good. We're out of 10,000 feet. Let's go ahead and turn our landing lights, taxi lights off. And I guess we keep climbing at 140. I got to look at some other climb profiles, but we'll keep climbing at 145-ish knots here. Retrim here a little bit. There we go. Get her nice and centered up. There we go. It was slipping a little bit. There we go. We're nice and centered up. $48-month badge. North Up displays. Love North Up displays. Always. Always. Once we get up to cruise, we'll look at some other things here. We're going to go over some of the failure modes. We'll look at the engine trend monitor a little bit more. I'm going to check my sky vector here. The big one, so there's one VOR. Uh-oh, who's that? Greetings from Charlotte to Buffalo. American 1203. Good to see, man. Scared me, dude. I thought the HC was coming on. There's one VOR I want to make sure we'd hit. That's Paso Robles, 14.3. I'm gonna get that in ready to go here because we have Paso Robles VOR. If we were to lose this, I want to make sure we're good to go. It's going to keep us out of a restricted zone. So I'm going to put that on the primary for when we do pick it up. I'm also going to put it over here. 14.3 is set. It looks like we're still a little far from it, but I just want to have it ready to go because we do have our GPS. We're looking good. About 2,000 feet to level off. Dougal says, I think this will be a day one purchase for me. I think you'll enjoy it, Dougal. I really do. I've commented everywhere they needed to mod the TBM. Very excited for this one. Steve, it's not a mod. This is an actual full product from BLACKSQUARE. So this is not the modded TBM. What do we have in Microsoft? Is it a 9? What's the default Microsoft one? It's a 9. Is it a 900? All right, 15.5, 1,000 feet to level off. I heard my fuel tank switch here. We'll level off, we'll get settled in, and then we're going to go over a couple other things here. I'm not going to cruise super fast because we have a shorter flight, and I want to get over some things. Oh, the one in Microsoft is a 930. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so the 930 is what Microsoft has. Again, this is a standalone product. It is its own model. That's why it's not limited by the Microsoft, the doors, and a couple other things like that. All right, well, here we go. Leveling 16.5. Someone said 850 mode is basically rental car mode. That's hilarious. Yeah, I would not want to be in 850 mode if I owned my own TBM. I'd probably want to save it a little bit. So I'm going to find us a nice little cruise power setting here. I'm going to bring the torque back. And then I'm also going to bring the prop back 1900. I believe you can go from 16 to 19 at altitude and full torque without really affecting your performance, so you can really quiet the cabin down. I was reading something in the manual. I was reading the actual TBM manual, and maybe I misunderstood that. Maybe you guys know in chat, but I'm pretty sure at altitude, when you have your cruise power set, you can manipulate from, maybe it was 16 to 18 or something on the prop, which would allow you to really quiet the cabin down, save some fuel, a little bit better fuel efficiency, and you're not really hurting your speed. Is the sound need sound pack? Super Deal? No, I do not believe you need a sound pack on this airplane. All right, there's a nice quiet. 1900, about 100% torque, 1900 torque. ITT is 762. Basically, make sure everything is in the green, which it is. And then we're going to start going over some engine trend monitoring stuff. So it looks like we're going to stabilize here about 200 knots, which is fine. We can go way faster, but again, we have a short flight. Let's get to some more features here before we keep going. Let me see if I missed anything in the chat here. The annunciator panel very much of the Hawk. Ah, Matthew, yeah. Well, there is definitely, I think the Hawk is in development, right? I think it is in development. All right, so we're alt, nav, FD, yaw damper, and autopilot is on. Let's dig into this engine trend monitor here for a little bit. So I've talked about how there's state saving and monitoring stuff within the Microsoft limitations. There are some limiting factors. I'll have to bring them up, but for the most part, almost all the pertinent stuff is going to be saved from state to state, and it will eventually wear down. So it's important to monitor your engine trends and monitor if you have any exceedances, which I had an exceedance on the very first time I flew this airplane. But let's go through some of the pages here. So if I go, let me just go all the way up. I guess it doesn't matter which way, you just keep. So shaft horsepower, right now we're producing 711. Not quite sure what this is. Is that surface speed? I'm not sure what that is. I gotta look at that. Low vibe, low and high ITT, 27.6, 723. So is that like the highest we've got? Inspection is due in 98 hours, 24 minutes, and counting. Right now, our current NG is 94, ITT of 760, which that matches right there. Oh, specific fuel consumption. Thank you, Raphael. I'm unfamiliar with some of these things here. We can see our torques, our NGs, our propellers, 1891. We've already went through that one. Okay, so that is the specific fuel consumption. Okay. Let's move on. Speaking of fuel, let's go to the fuel selection here. So right now, full fuel is 290.6. Fuel to destination at our current consumption is 30.9. Fuel at destination, that's going to leave us with 85 gallons. So you can see we've got a lot more fuel than necessary. Specific range, right now, we're approximately 4.5 nautical miles per gallon. This is all real time, and it's dependent upon what you do with your power levers in the airplane. Fuel flow is 60.4 gallons per hour. So what this does is, like, why would you have that if you could just set an ITT or set a torque? If you are trying to do a long range flight and you're really trying to maximize your flight planning and maybe the winds are changing, to get real-time fuel flow gallons per hour, you can then use that to reference your ground speed or see how fast you're flying. You can really fine-tune your fuel flow so you know exactly what fuel values you're going to have at your destination, or maybe you're getting tight on gas, you've done deviating for weather. You can really use these pieces of information to fine-tune what you're trying to accomplish on any specific flight. Fuel used versus remaining. Time remaining, 1.5 hours. Fuel remaining, 114. And that's that. Let's go to the air data page. It's Tuesday, September 23rd, 8:07 local time. Flight timer, we're 14 minutes. OAT, density, altitude. So we're actually, the airplane feels like it's at 18.3. For longer, cruise set 50 to 55 gallons per hour because we're in rental mode right now. Oh boy. Let's see, hold on, we're making a turn. All right, now we're making a turn towards Paso Robles. You'll see here that the needle will automatically shift as it's supposed to. We'll resync our heading bug, spin it over. One of my favorite views on the TBM is this one right here. I love this view. right off the nose. But let's go back to some other engine trend monitor stuff here. Pressure altitude, we're 18.3, 16.4, IS, TAS, and Mach. All handy dandy. Gross weight, we're 6,500 pounds. That's the air data, fuel, nav page, our current position, lat long. 2 Paso Robles, 41 miles, estimated time en route 8 minutes. ETAs, top of destination, ET 6, 2 destination, estimated time en route 27 miles. This, I think, is probably bugged from my flight plan that I've got in there. ETA destination, 8:33 local time. That is pretty sweet if you're flying around someone fancy and they're trying to make a meeting, trying to make their coffee time, says 49 whiskey. So that you can really adjust your speed there to look extra sharp as a pilot. Well, how'd you land at exactly 8:35 or whatever? Oh, I'm just that good. Magnetic track is 342, ground speed 279. The variation, this is the magnetic variation of where we are right now on the globe, is 12.3 east. Wind drift, winds are 259 at 15 knots. About 3 degrees left, which that kind of jives what we're doing. We're about 3 degrees left of our actual course there. That jives. Just basically this engine trend monitor gauge basically is all you need. But you've got your other gauges, you've got other tools in this airplane, which just make it, I mean, it's such a well-equipped aircraft. It's pretty unbelievable. Looks like we're getting signal to Paso Robles. Let's go ahead and dial up our VOR2, which I'm sure everyone's excited. Yes, you can get reverse sensing on this VOR OBS right here. Look at the needle movement. You see how that needle movement bobbles inside there? I wish you could see it the way I see it. Like, there's a little reflection on the glass. I mean, I literally feel like I'm moving an actual OBS needle in the airplane. Very small detail, but a very, very nice detail. I'll be there at 8:45 if you want to, at ATC, you want to bet? Yeah, exactly. So we use that on the Airbus too. Our cross, or our, what is that called? The I'm drawing a blank. But yeah, same thing. You can set a waypoint in time to be there at exactly a certain time. I guess we'll bring back the power a little bit since we're in rental mode. Let's reduce that. We don't want to be in rental mode. All right, but anyway, that's just, I mean, these are the lengths, the details of what BLACKSQUARE has gone through. So now let's go to probably my favorite portion of this product, and a lot of the BLACKSQUARE products have this too, but the way that they've set global fails. Now this is a different aircraft, so my other one I'd saved at 32, so that's where I'm going to keep it. So 32x real time is what I'm setting my mean time between failures at. And if you want to see what the actual mean time between failures are, this is based on data of what the real developer DAR, is it DAR or SOCADA? DAR, SOCADA? One of the two, are they the same thing? Basically, they have every part that's on the airplane has an estimated lifespan, and they've accumulated data for how long, how many hours the part can last before they see failures, and this is all logged and tracked. And then you get your mean time between failures, and you have all of that here. Now, how do I go down? Oh, nope, I don't want to decrease the time. Drawing a blank. I don't want to do an engine failure right now. Let me go back. Hold on. Detailed settings. There was a way to scroll down. There we go. You got to be on the main. Okay, here we go. That's what I was trying to get at. DAR formerly SOCADA. Okay, thank you. So you can see what the estimated mean time between failures are if you were to leave it at 1x. So I mean, this one here, vacuum pump, only about 600 hours. If I increase that by 32%, now you know, my vacuum pump may fail a lot sooner than anticipated. That's why I like, you know, I like having it 32 because it keeps you on your toes enough. Or like, hey, if I fly this airplane pretty significantly as my GA airplane, I have to be on point. I have to actually do my checks, make sure things are proper before flight, because the likelihood of something happening is going to be much more likely than in real life. Now, in real life, even though you have less failures, hopefully, when you actually have one, it is your life that's at stake. So you still do every single thing correctly every single time you fly, even though you're like, well, I've only been flying for 1,000 hours. My mean time between engine failures is, you know, 50,000 hours, so I don't think I'm going to have one. I'm not going to do a run-up today. You don't do that because it's your life that's at stake, right? But in SimWorld, you could increase that, so you have to be on point and doing what you're supposed to be doing every time you take the airplane up. Now, as I continue to look at all these different failures here, I mean, I think there's 10 failures specific just to aircraft pressurization. I mean, in the manual they have a full list of all the failures possible, but you really get that feel of, hey, there's stuff going on here behind the scenes of this TBM. I'm actually going to bring the power back a little bit more. We're going too fast. Let's go ahead and bring it back even more, because I want to have this is a short flight and I want to get to some few other things here before we land in Monterey. All right, so with that said, one other thing about the failures. Gosh, where are these fruit flies coming from? I have like fruit flies all over my office right now. What the heck? I don't have any fruit in here either. Like, that's weird. So, one of the very cool parts, you can see right now my engine condition's 99%. We'll just leave this page on for now. So, the way failures act in this airplane are ultra realistic. So yes, you can pull every single circuit breaker. You know, you can use the essential bus tie switch. You can do all that stuff. And if you watch the Just Flight video on failures, it goes into detail about that. But what's really cool to me is just because a failure happens, it doesn't mean the circuit breaker will automatically pop. You just come in here, circuit breakers pop. Oh, we have a failure. We have a aux fuel pump, aux boost pump. No. The circuit breaker will only pop even if the failure is active when an electrical current is requested through that specific circuit. So if I continue to not use my aux fuel pump, okay, because I keep forgetting, but I'm at that point now where my fuel pump's actually failed, and I'm flying along over the mountains and I have engine trouble and I go to flip my aux fuel pump into the on position, then the breaker will pop and it'll say, hey, you haven't been following procedures properly, you haven't tested your pumps, or you haven't seen it on start. Now that you're requesting it and you need it, it has failed. It's been failed, you just didn't know it was failed because you haven't used it yet. That makes sense? You know, like another example would be maybe like some heating elements, right? So let's say your inertial separator is busted or something. This may be a bad example. Let me think of a better example. I guess we'll stick with the inertial separator. Well, no, let's say prop governor, because that's what we test on before takeoff. Your overspeed. Let's say you never do a governor test. You never do a governor check, but for some reason your governor has failed. Well, the next time you go apply takeoff power, guess what's going to happen? You're going to overspeed, and it's not because, you know, you could fly around as long as you're setting power properly, but then if you go to set power too much, your governor's not going to be there to work, and then you're going to realize that you've been flying around with a failed governor for so long. So it's those little things that make this airplane, to me, just seem like it's really a living, breathing machine. Looks like we're hit past a Robos VOR. This is going to keep us north of some restricted airspace. We'll make sure we get the track update here. Put vinegar in a bowl with some dish soap. Yeah, I'm going to have to. I don't know where they're coming from. All right, we'll recenter the heading bug. And we're looking good. All right, let's go back outside here for a minute. Let's turn down the sim. I can go over some other points here on the manual as well. But anyway, I mean, that's, RTA, RC Flyer. That's what I was trying to say back than when we're talking about that RTA, route track adjustment in the Airbus, is what you use to hit a specific waypoint at a specific time. But all right, I mean, that was kind of a fire hose trying to get some information out. And guys, we're really just scratching the surface on this airplane. So you're going to see more content from me on this because there's some other things I want to focus on. But again, I was just having so much fun flying this airplane that I wanted to do a quick stream today just to kind of get the initial impressions out there. Maybe answer some more of your questions. If you have questions, now would be a good time to ask them before we start down. And I would really like to, it's not guaranteed yet. I'm trying to get a schedule to line up, I believe Nick at BLACKSQUARE, who's the developer behind this project. I would like to either have him on, maybe if it's not for like a shared flight, probably because that shared flight is kind of funky, I think, and I don't really know how to set it up yet. I haven't messed with it. But at the very least, if we could have him come on, maybe like in cruise, maybe we set up a long cruise and then have him come on. We could talk about the airplane, maybe answer some more of your questions. That's something that I would like to do. I just don't have a date, or I don't know if our schedules are going to align yet before release comes out. Like I said, I'm not at liberty to discuss the release date, but I can just tell you that it's going to be pretty soon. So, and the links are in the description of, I don't think I put them on the description of this stream, which I'll have to do. But on the trailer video that y'all watched, that premiere, and you just go to justflight.com and see the product page. And they're going to continue to release some more in-depth videos about systems. And I've seen most of them already. And I don't know if it's out yet. Is the electrical one out yet? I know they have a video that they're going to release, continue to release about systems. And they've done one about the electrical. And it is basically a real-world electrical system on this airplane. The current draw and battery charging is simulated outside of basically like their own proprietary simulation, and you have to be careful about current draw and recharging the batteries, because what happens if you super drain the batteries, like say you always do battery start, you're always draining your batteries, you're really hard on them, and then you have maybe an over voltage, or you're overcharging them, or you're not monitoring the amps that are going back to the battery. What can happen, as in real life, is it can get hot enough to where the terminals will actually fuse or melt and disconnect the battery from the aircraft completely, which is a big uh-oh. So little things like that are simulated, the amps, the currents, all that. So I highly recommend watching that one if they release that. RC Flyer, thank you for the 17 months. He says, I'm sold V1, about to be $42 poor. Impressive aircraft. I love the attention to attention to detail. Yes, that's the thing, RC, is the attention to detail on this aircraft is very, very nice. Now, I know there's going to be some thermal runaway V2 plus 10. I know there's always going to be the haters. It's just still Microsoft limited flaws. So there are several limitations still within Microsoft about, especially when it comes to turboprops. And I'm going to touch on two there's really three, but I think the way that and the third one was how beta and reverse works on the ground. But the way that BLACKSQUARE's done it, I think, is the best way. Having it just be a ground idle part of the same axis when you're on the ground, I think that is the best way to appease both worlds. So I really don't see that as a huge limitation anymore. But there's two others that will stand out. The first one we'll talk about briefly. That is the effect of ambient air temperature, outside air temperature, on idle ITT. From what I've seen in the manual and what I've kind of seen experimenting with this airplane on different temperatures, is that it's a little bit over-exaggerated in Microsoft. And that is I guess that is a limitation within the Microsoft code. But if you don't fly a TBM, you probably don't even know what idle ITT is. Now, the second limitation that is a restriction within Microsoft, and this one, you can feel it, and that is flight idle drag. So on King Airs, Beechcraft, basically any PT6, when you go to flight idle, it's almost scary at how much drag and how fast you can descend. I know for a fact on the 99s anyway, and even on the King Air, when you go full flight idle, it's it's pretty impressive at how fast you can descend without accelerating because of flight idle drag on the propeller. Flight idle drag is still a limitation within Microsoft. They've done their best to adjust the flight model accordingly to make it so it doesn't stand out as bad, and I really don't think it stands out terribly, but it is there. And just at full transparency, I think, I've never flown the TBM, but I would imagine you could probably have a little bit better idle descent performance if you had a little bit more drag. But, it is what it is. Just plan if anything, it makes it more challenging because now you really got to plan your descents out because you're not going to be able to slow down and go down. That is one thing you could do in the King Air, the 99. You could slow down and go down. I mean, I brought those. I remember one time in a 99 in a C model, or no, was it a C model or a D model? I can't remember. We had the cargo pod. So C model, 99, cargo pod, flight idle, full forward on the propeller. It's scary. I mean, it's like 6,000 feet a minute, and you're not accelerating. I mean, you are dropping like a rock. So I would imagine the TBM is still a little bit more slick than that, and it's a little bit less draggy. It's meant to go fast and far, whereas this 99s weren't, especially when you have a big cargo pod hanging out there. But again, that's something within Microsoft that, unfortunately, until there's something else we can do about it, we're kind of stuck with it. So. All right, we're looking good. We're 47 miles out. I think we're going to go direct to Monterey from here. We're going to be, I think we'll be clear of the airspace. So I'm going to go here, direct to activate. And we're direct to the field now. We're 50 miles out. We're at 16,400 feet. We're looking good. We'll start down here momentarily. Yeah, Microsoft doesn't have enough drag. Yeah, I agree, Team Vodka. Ailerons in the wind's got it. Yeah, it feels like you're stopping in the air. It really does. Disking prop becomes a spoiler real fast. Yes, the disking prop when they come to flight idle, indeed. What upgrade would you like to see from Microsoft Twitch? College, dude, honestly, pretty much what we're talking about right there. I would like to see, and I don't know because I'm not a developer, when devs come out and say, there's a limitation within the sim for, like we're just talking about, flight idle drag. Is that because the way Microsoft has restricted how much access developers can get to aerodynamic forces, or is it something else? What I would like to see in 2024, and it would be like to have the developers have more access to finer details like that. That's something that I would like to see in 24. I don't know if that's even a plausible situation, but I know they're coming out with missions and all that stuff, and it's going to be exciting. I'm looking forward to 24. But from a developer standpoint, and I'm not one, but from what I've heard and read, I would like developers, third-party devs, to have more access to finer details of flight modeling. So that would be one of the things here. Dev here, because it's the API access, the data isn't available. Okay, Anthony Taylor. So is that something, and then what I said, would that be something that would be possible in 24? Like if they allowed more data to be accessible from devs? Because if that would be true, then that's what I would want in 24. Because I think that's what hinders a lot of development from different products around. It's like unless you do what who was the first to do it, PMDG and like FSX, where the 7.3 and FSX literally ran outside of the simulator. Okay, but then that now produces its own set of challenges, right? It would just be nice if the sim itself allowed these devs to do what they need to do down to the small details to really push high fidelity airplanes. My bet is it's an aerodynamics and atmospheric code that doesn't take into account prop drag properly. I have no idea. Kanopke, thank you for the $3 super chat, man. V1 spreading sweet Stevo Knievo vibes. Yeah, Kanopke, for sure. Maybe I'll send him he'll probably never answer, but maybe I'll send him a YouTube email and be like, hey, would you make my YouTuber followers go absolutely crazy and come on for a podcast? Maybe on a 15-hour flight from Sydney to LA, we can see if we can get Stevo Knievel on to do a podcast. He probably won't even respond to my email, but he just seems like a super nice guy. I bet if he actually saw it, he might actually respond, because I've never met the guy, but just from watching his videos, he seems like a person he's always going to be there to lend a helping hand. And there's not many left in this world. You know, I could think of a few off the top of my head. You've got Q8 Pilot, XP72, Stevo Knievo. They're just humans that you feel like will always extend their hand and help, no matter what the situation is. And I mean, I could be totally off base. This is just from an outside perception of watching YouTube content, and which is also possible, because you can pretend to be someone you're not when you make your own personality on YouTube. But I still feel like Stevo is a genuine guy. He just seems genuine. That's what I meant to say. He just seems genuine. Met him twice at Oshkosh. Great guy. Yeah, that's awesome, Mr. Mysterious T. Whoa, look, there's some, okay. We actually have some weather coming up here in front of us. Let's go ahead and reset our altitude. We might actually have to shoot an approach. Let's descend down to 10,500. I'm going to go IAS. I'm going to bring the power back a little bit. We're going to start down, and we need to start looking at an approach. Matter of fact, why don't we load, I think there's a localizer. Let me look at some approaches here. Let me go to airports, Monterey. I got a soft spot for Monterey. It was the first airport. It was the airport where I did my first ever jet landing. It was in Monterey, California. Let me see what approaches we have available here. Actually, was it Monterey? Yeah, it was Monterey. All right. 2.8 only has a LOC and a couple RNAVs. Could do a LOC approach. That might be spicy. 110.7. Let's do a LOC approach and we'll do a LOC backed up with the GPS. So I'm going to go procedure. We're going to select approach, localizer 2.8 left, and we need to take it off of. I don't want it off the. Where's wiggle? We'll do wiggle because that's all the way out. I know you can't see. I'm just looking at Navigraph on my other monitor here. We'll do wiggle. We'll load it for monitoring only. Yes. All right, back to flight plan. So there's wiggle over there. Okay, we actually need to shoot an approach into here. So, is there any ATC on right now? I don't think we're in any ATC coverage area. Let me check, because we just got ourselves into a pickle, chat. We just got ourselves into a little bit of a pickle here. With Monterey is socked in, and there's no ATC on. So, what we're going to do is we're going to go into heading mode. Actually, you know what? Let's shoot it from the VOR. We're going to go LOC 2.8, and we got to change it. We're going to go Salinas, and we're going to just activate it right now. Oh, dang it, I just screwed it up. LOC 2.8, enter. Salinas, enter. Load, yes. Flight plan, cursor. We need to go direct to Salinas VOR right now. That's going to put us on course, and we're going to at least, we can descend in the hole, we can figure out what we're doing here. There's no ATC on, so we got ourselves, we're going to have to self-vector us here. We might be able to get down. All right, so you can see we're going to go towards the Salinas VOR. We're 13.7. Let me actually get my charts out here. So the problem is right now we can't, we're off airway. We can go down to 8,000. Let's continue to go 8,000. We'll set 8.5 since technically we're still VOR. All right, we're descending down to 8,500 feet. We're going to the Salinas VOR. We may not end up going all the way out there. As soon as we get low enough, we might be able to circle back. A couple other things here we need for the localizer approach. We need the localizer frequency, which is 110.7. So 110.7. I'm going to put you right here. And then we're also going to put 110.7 here. And then we need to get Salinas VOR, which is 117.3. We'll throw that right here. And I'll put 17.3 on nav2 active. So we're going to have nav2 or VOR2 directly to the Salinas VOR. We've got the localizer in position 1. This tells us to turn right at 144 in 4 seconds. So what we're going to do now, we're actually going to not do that. We're going to select heading. And we're going to self-vector us for the approach. Manny Riviere, welcome to the stream. This is not a mod. This is the BLACKSQUARE TBM. It's a full aircraft. It is not available yet, but it will be soon. All right, so I'm going to continue to come down here. Let's go ahead and run that prop up a little bit. Get a little bit more drag. All right, so we're heading mode. I'm going to go ahead and switch the CDI real quick over to Loc 1. We need to put the Loc course in here, which is going to be 278 degrees. We're going to spin this around to 278. That looks good. Now, in real life, I would just go back to GPS and get back around, but we're not real life right now. We're kind of doing our own self-vectoring situation here. So I'm going to kind of come out past the Loc. We're going to intercept it from the north because of the terrain to the south. So we're going to fly out. Once we come back towards, if we come outside of Rodney, we can be at 4,600 feet. All right, so there's 10.3. We're getting ready to go through 10,000 feet. We'll get all those lights on. That looks good. And we're going to continue to descend now. Oh, we'll hit magic barrel ref key 3014. We're going to continue to descend to 6,500. We're going to keep now. We're going to bring the power back to about flight idle. Look at that. So that's still pretty good. We're doing 4,000 feet a minute, and we're doing 192 knots. That's not nothing. I mean, that's still pretty good. Monterey traffic, TBM 357 Bravo Mike. We're headed up to the Salinas VOR. We're going to set up for the localizer 28 approach, Salinas, or Monterey traffic. It is Monterey. It is Monterey on. Yep, 28 left is the runway we're landing on. There's the altitude alert. Let me get flight recorder up and ready because we're going to want to see this replay. Flight recorder is ready. All right, let's go ahead and start a right turn. About 060. Basically going to take ourselves outbound here a little bit. We're going to keep slowing down. Look how fast we're slowing down. That's pretty good. We'll come down to about 140 knots. Right about there. And if we do a vectors to final, like I said, Rodney was 4,600. Let's descend 4,600. IAS hold. Down we go. I'm going to go here, procedures. I'm going to activate vectors to final. All right. We're going to go heading outbound. I'm basically using the 530 just as a situational map. If ATC was online, they'd probably give us a vector around to intercept the Loc. We're looking pretty much good here. Can you please show us the outside view for a bit? Yep, try not to stall it. I really like this paint job. I didn't think I was going to like it at first. I might adjust it. I might have to come up with a V1 TBM livery because I think we're going to start seeing a lot of this airplane. All right, 150. We're down to 5.6 for 1,000 feet. 1,000 feet from level off. Is the FS project worth it to use with TCA throttle? Yeah, I think so. I mean, getting an actual side stick is going to change the game as far as your hand flying characteristics. The throttle is still going to be limiting, but If you're just using it in climb position anyway, I think you're still going to enjoy it. I don't think you will be upset. I've yet to have anybody, which is rare, because anytime you say anything on YouTube, there's always somebody that has a better solution or doesn't agree with you, which is understandable. But I don't think I've had anybody get the FSprojects side stick setup, whether they got a Wing base or a Thrustmaster base, and say that it was not worth it. So I think you will enjoy it. It definitely changes. It connects you to the airplane. I have to say it looks great looking texture and flight model. It looks a bit Manny Rivera. It is indeed. If you want, go back to the very beginning of the stream. We did a pre-flight walk around. We opened up the doors and all that. So yeah, maybe after I land, if you want to see the landing, you can check up the beginning of the stream. We did a pre-flight. All right, we're 4,600 feet now. Flaps approach, or you can do takeoff flaps below like 170 or something, right? I have to double check. So I'm gonna come back a little bit and we'll go flaps to the takeoff position. I said approach, but just to kind of lever that nose a little bit. Big straight wing airplane here. It's gonna be almost nose low on approach. All right, Rodney is the final approach fix. We're 4,600 feet. We're just outside of Rodney. We're 15.1 miles from the localizer. We're in Green Needle Loc. I'm just using this as a situational awareness map. We're 130 on the speed. That's good. Let me set my torque a little bit more. Hold that right about 130. And right about, we'll go a little bit further. Let me zoom this down. I'm trying to give myself a vector here inside of Rodney. All right, inside of Rodney, we can descend the MDA, which we should have set, 1860, which is 1603. We'll round up, 1610. I think we leave it in norm mode, right? Or do we leave it in DH set? I guess we leave it in DH set. All right, 4,600. We're 130 knots. We're outside the final approach fix. We're set up to shoot the localizer into Monterey. I was not planning on it. Looks like the ceiling looks like that might be just some marine layer that's burning off here as it gets warmer too. All right, let's fly. TBM 7 Bravo Mike, fly heading 220, maintain 4,000 till established, clear to localizer 28 left approach. 4,600, 220 on the heading, cleared localizer. So we can go approche. No, we can't. We go nav. Gosh, I forget. Oh, back course. We can fly it in nav mode, but we're backing it up with green needles on the Loc because we don't have a Loc push button. There we go. It's capturing the GPS course. We're verifying the Loc course here. Keep spinning our heading bug around. 178 and 122. Thank you, ailerons into the wind. I knew flaps 1 was out there. So 122 for landing. Now, I swear I've seen, maybe some Steve-O fans out there, I feel like I've seen Steve-O land with flaps in the takeoff position more often than not. Maybe I'm just missing something. But we'll go flaps full. All right, so we're on the localizer. After Rodney, we can do an initial descent for the Wuxon at 10 miles, which is 4,000. So I'm going to set 4,000 feet. Rodney intersection is 11.5 for 12 miles. And then we could just do an IAS descent. There it is, close enough. Monterey traffic, TBM 7 Bravo Mike. We're on the localizer 2-way left approach, just inside of Rodney. Monterey traffic. Put that in norm mode. All right, after Wuxon, 3,000. There we go. Let's go gear down. That's the gear warning horn. Runway's in sight. With the runway in sight, I'll go ahead and disconnect the autopilot. We'll hand fly it. Recording is on. Tiller cam is coming on. I don't know why I call it tiller cam. Or TBM cam is on. And can I do... I can't do approach there. I guess there is no... for the localizer. We're going to turn it off. Yaw damper must be off for landing. So yaw damper is off. We're visual. Runway's in sight. We're flying over terrain, so that's that rat out that keeps coming alive. We'll maintain this speed for a little bit, and then we'll go flaps full and slow down to about 100 knots or so on final. See, we're 7 miles out. I don't see any traffic. I think we're looking good. That's that DA keeps tripping off over the mountains. Because we're right at 2,500 feet. Oh yeah, inertial SEP. Thank you. Inertial SEP. It takes us several seconds to come on. We should get an inertial SEP light. There it is, inertial separator. It's like watching the Hunt for Red October. The sonar ping. Little crosswind, 2 knots. I don't even know if it's a real one. Just a little bit of chop coming over the mountains here in Monterey. Beautiful approach. This is such a beautiful approach in real life. All right, let's go ahead and slow and get our full flaps in. So we're going to start slowing our final approach speed. Definitely a little bit of chop over these ridges here. Bit of trim. Trim is your friend on this airplane. That's close enough to 122. We'll go flaps full. A little bit of pitch up moment there. Right about 100 knots. You can see, look at that, how different the pitch attitude is. Straight wing. Straight wing, highly efficient Hershey bar out there. Get that nose down. Any CRJ 200 drivers around here? It's probably familiar. So for me, I've been finding that, you know, keeping that power in until about 100-ish feet, and then just kind of letting it fly down. Nice slow power reduction. Seems to be working, but we'll see. Hopefully we don't botch this one up. Now there is a row of lights on the runway scenery. I don't know why. It's a freeware Monterey, so just ignore them. These trees in real life are not here, right at the edge of the runway. But we'll practice coming over 50-foot obstacles, so diving it down towards the runway. Pitch and power is so nice. When you set your approach torque and you're pretty much good, if you start slowing down, you're probably pitching up. We'll clear these trees that are not here, but we'll pretend that we're clearing a 50-foot obstacle. And now we'll start working it out. Don't want to flare too early like an Airbus pilot. Just fly her right on down. We'll let her touch. Oh, it just missed it. Come on, butter the bread. Oh, that was buttery. Rock that nose down into the reverse. We won't even touch the brakes. Here's my lights that are in the way. Now, Monterey Jet Center should be off to the right, right? I think it's over here, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Monterey. Callie Simmer says, nice. Glad you made it, Callie Simmer. Glad you made it. All right, let's go ahead and stop the recording. Let's go park next to this caravan over here. Let's go flaps up. Let's clean her up. Let's get our lights off. Close the inertial separator. We'll get our heaters off. Gonna be a little tight. Differential braking. Right next to Kenmore Air. Long way from home. Boop. All right, we are set here. We'll go back to full screen. We'll go parking brake on. Let's come over here and we'll kill that. That's off. We are depressurized, so that looks good. We'll go ahead and kill the radio master. That master. Let's do a shutdown with the door open, shall we? Alright, this is one thing I don't know. I think you're supposed to feather prop too, right? Oh, it closed the door. We'll close the door. Slow her on down. Free windmilling. Could have a little smoother transition there on the sound. Oh, we left the boost pump in auto. Listen. Do you guys hear that? Because the boost pump is working. Off. Left the boost pump in auto. Rip. That should have been off. That should be in manual, right? I think. We'll turn the pulse off. And we'll go generator off. Ignition off. And bleed is off. I already got that one. Yep, good. We'll kill the crash bar. No 2 minutes at idle. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Monterey. I hope you enjoyed that little short but sweet flight here. Now, this is something I haven't tested yet. Let's go right into my replay mode. Some airplanes require me to start up for replay. Let's see what happens if we just go straight into replay with this one here. Let me put the fuel condition lever back up. And let's just see what happens if we go straight into replay mode. Hey! I'll take it. Maybe we can see our displays. Power on. Any P factor? Yes, Hans, there's definitely a P factor. There's P factor felt on the airplane, especially if you don't trim your rudder for takeoff. You want to make sure your rudder is in the takeoff trim position. You can definitely feel P factor. I think the flight model is really good. I actually really do enjoy it. I'm trying to find the best setting. I don't want to listen to that this whole time. I'm trying to find the best sensitivity setup for the Thrustmaster yoke. I mean, it's a little bit wonky because it's a Boeing, you know, and it's got that pendular action. But I think I've pretty much nailed it. I basically just put a little bit of a not a reactivity. I put a little bit of a extremity dead zone, so it makes it just a little bit flatter on pitch. But I've left roll pretty much to be the same. Roll is very responsive, just like, you know, from everything that I've read, the TBM is a very responsive airplane. You know, it's a light single engine GA aircraft, so it is very responsive on the flight controls. And I feel like the roll is pretty much spot on, just straight linear, and just that little bit of extremity dead zone for the pitch for me on the TCA Boeing yoke. Now, like I said, though, with this airplane, makes me want to get a force feedback yoke, because I could only imagine how nice it would feel to fly this airplane with a force feedback yoke. I wish they were more popular. I really do. I don't know why force feedback has pretty much been non-existent. It was existent in the early 2000s. I mean, I had the Sidewinder, I had force feedback side sticks back then, and now it's, you know, pretty hard to get one. Very good power weight ratio, yes. Isn't there a default replay to Aviator? There is, but I don't mess with it. I just use the flight recorder off Flight Sim TO. It's free. You can save your replays. It's probably the main reason I use it. So like if you do multiple legs, you can do of landing, save that replay. There's that approach flap coming in. And then do your second leg, and then go back and load and watch your other replays without having to interrupt the flight or interrupt any of the cockpit setup. So that's the main reason why I use Flight Recorder. Look at the detailing on the flap tracks there. That's very nice. So passenger view, I mean, this is what they're looking at. X-Plane 11 hot start TBM runs amazing. Which one do you have? Ailerons in the one you said you had? I forget which one you said you had. WSIM, I use Flight Recorder. It's the best. It's free. It's easy. Save replays. Your animations work. You can see animations are working. There we go. On approach. On approach in. We're looking pretty good. I just love the look of that airplane. Doesn't it look slick? It just looks fast. You know, TBMs just look fast. Right on speed. That was pretty cool that weather kind of came in. We had to get that Loke in there. Pretty neat. I have the biggest issue with Sky Dolly and Flight Recorder replay with animations. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, so Flight, yeah, I just use Flight Recorder is what I use. Flight Recorder. There's a couple of them out there that sound the same. I think I have a link, don't I? Let me see. Guess not. So here we are, bringing that power out. Try not to be an Airbus. Let the airplane settle down. Nice and easy. Oh yeah, beautiful. I'll take that right on the center line. Hitting turtles. There's that reverse. It could be louder for sure. You know, that if I'm being a stickler, I wish that was more emphasized. But hey, that's pretty darn good. I'll take that. First landing on stream. Steve, I agree. Even sitting on the ramp, the TBM looks like it's sitting on. It's speeding. I agree. Watch it from back here. Bring that power out. So I would imagine in real life, once you go to flight idle, because you have more drag, you would settle probably a little bit quicker. But as long as you respect the speed and you just kind of fly her down, lands very nice. Could have had a little bit more flare. I just love hearing that transition. Let's pause it. Let's go right back to touchdown. Right about there. Let's go showcase cam. Oh, let's go here. Drone follow. Get off. Straighten you out. All right, let's watch this. And then I got to get out of here. I got to go get ready for work. I got to completely got to switch gears here. I got to go load up an Airbus. Go fly down to South Florida. Thank you, Dougal, for stopping by. Thank you, Airlines Into the Wind, for tuning in. Everyone here, Delta Tango, Jessica, the Aviator, Most Obvious, Willie Thornton. I hope you all enjoyed this stream. There's going to be more to come from it. This was just my initial impressions. Again, check out the Just Flight YouTube page. Check out the main product page for all the more detailed information. Oh, that was pretty good, though. That was pretty good. I'll leave you with a couple more replays. Until the next time, I think we're going to try to do something tomorrow. Depends on what time I get back tonight. I'm supposed to be coming back late, so we'll see how late it is. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy. Next time I see you, I think we'll be back down under, heading up to Brisbane. We'll throw some more shrimps on the Barbies. All right, prawns. Sorry, the prawns. Y'all stay safe, stay healthy. I'm V1. See you.